Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I wanted to cover a question that got asked in the Monday Q&A questions and I didn't answer in the Q&As this week because I thought it kind of deserved a video of its own. And that was just general tips on how to deal with triceps tendonitis. Now, most of the time, the people who have triceps tendonitis, it's because of the way that they are doing their isolation movements for their triceps. The way that's oftentimes taught by trainers and magazines and other things actually contributes to the tendonitis, and in all honesty may not even be the best way to do these exercises for tricep development. The reason for that is because the way these exercises are often done that does that actually puts the same type of stress upon the tricep that you get from all your pressing motion, so you're not necessarily getting a benefit from the isolation work that you aren't getting from the pressing. So it may not really be doing as much for you as you might really want. And what people tend to do, they tend to have their arms in close by their sides when they do skull crushers and things like this. They keep the shoulder joint stationary, they bring it to their face and they come up. Or they do the same thing, elbows all the way down when they do tricep pushdowns. Now the problem with this is that when you do that, if you notice and you're at the bottom of the skull crusher, there's a lot of tension down here on these lower insertions because it's putting all of the tension on the lateral and medial head of the tricep, the same heads that get most of the work during pressing, and it's putting tension on that connective tissue. So over time, if you're doing lots of them or too much volume of them, it can tend to cause them to get inflamed. And it's the same when you do press downs. So the best thing you can do to avoid that is to go ahead and add shoulder extension in the way that I demonstrate in my skull crusher video in the how-to playlist, to where when you're doing the skull crushers, you come down and you come back behind the head, which puts stress on the long head at the bottom, gets a stretch reflex on it, and removes some of the stress on the tendons when they're at their most vulnerable point in the exercise, in the range of motion. So by doing that, you're not only helping bring up the long head, which is probably the one that is lagging the most, but you're taking that tension and stress off of that connective tissue. You're not stretching those tendons as much, therefore you're going to tend to get less inflammation and less tendonitis. So that's really the solution for most people. And then the final solution, if that doesn't resolve it, what you'll notice is that when you deal with different levels of pronation here, that when you get to a hammer grip, you'll notice that when you're right here, you tend to get less tension on those insertions as opposed to when you do this, which is what you're going to do with a skull crusher or a straight bar, or even some V-bar push downs. And by doing that, you remove that little bit of tension there on the elbow. And so if you do the same thing with the shoulder extension, but you use a hammer grip and do it like this, laying down on your skull crushers with a hammer grip with dumbbells and do the shoulder extension, it will, for almost everybody who has issues there, alleviate that inflammation they're getting in the lower tendons of the tricep. So if you're suffering from tricep tendonitis, those are the things you might want to consider if you still want to be able to do isolation work for your triceps. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go. Oh, Mount Bicepius.